Welcome to the Nordic Mythology podcast. I'm Daniel Farrand, owner of the company Horns of Odin, and I'm joined almost as always by Dr. Mathias Nordvig.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. Just trying to make life work, you know. How
Yeah.
about yourself?
Yeah, I'm good. I had a nice break over Christmas, relaxed, centered everything again, and definitely feel sharper at the start of this year than the end of last year. I had a little bit of a wobble.
Yeah.
But it's that time, isn't it? As soon as you get to Christmas, everything compiles.
hmm You know, I think 2022 was kind of a rough year. So I'm
I
looking.
feel like for everybody.
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing. Like a lot of
Mm.
people. So I'm looking forward to 2023 as a year that's going to be awesome.
I think I definitely have the more positive attitude. I wonder if it has anything to do with coming out of a pandemic. Like, it
That,
does feel like for everybody just had this shit year.
yeah, I think that might be part of it.
Mm-hmm,
Definitely.
for sure. I mean, okay, so I guess we should start with news. And I assume most people listening to this will have seen it. Me and Jonas touched on it a little bit last week, but I wanted to save majority for us sitting down together. And obviously that is that you're going to be stepping down, I guess, as co-host.
Yeah. Stepping back.
Stepping back, leaving.
Yeah.
I don't know, however you want to word it.
Yeah.
It's you know.
Well, I'm as we've also talked about, I'm not totally out of the podcast, of course,
No.
and I'll be behind the scenes in different ways, helping out wherever I can.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the having a kid really it takes a lot of time, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's been the main thing that has, you know, over and over given us those like scheduling issues and all
Mm-hmm.
that stuff. And it's just with the time difference, like, you
And
know,
what is it? We've got 7 hours time difference between us, which
yeah,
is so that's almost a working day.
yeah, it is. And so this and you know, adding to that, as I also told you, um childcare in America sucks. If anybody didn't know that, just like anything else that has to do with stuff that the general public needs. So we pay like an exorbitant amount of money for childcare, and it doesn't actually cover a full working day. So my time is essentially just limited
Mm-hmm.
every
Yeah,
day.
yeah,
So yeah.
yeah. I mean, and it wasn't it wasn't a decision that either of us took lightly. This
No.
was something we've been speaking about for probably like 3 or 4 months, just trying to figure out any way around this that we could.
Yeah.
And we tried a bunch of different things and we just couldn't figure it out. It is just an issue with timing.
Yeah. I mean, if
Life
it,
changes.
yeah, that's the thing, right? Like if we lived in the same country or at least the same time zone or just down the road from each other, we could meet up in the evenings or something like that instead. But since this is like happening in the middle of my workday, has been for a
Yeah.
while. And weekends are now, dedicated to bouncing a baby around. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff, right?
Well, that's it. That was the one thing. Even when we looked at changing the recording time, it was no matter what we did, it was like the middle of the day for you. So you just split the day in half. Or if we did your nighttime, it's like the middle of the night for me.
Yeah.
There was no work
4 o'clock in the morning in the UK.
it was it was very, very difficult. I mean, like you say, it's not you're still going to be there. You're still going to be helping out. You're going to be jumping on when you can. It's definitely not the end of you with the podcast. And I said it to you privately, this will always be 50% yours, no matter what happens. Cause we had this stupid little idea like 2.5 years ago that we were going to start a podcast and try and educate people through me just asking in, whatever comes to mind. And for some reason, people chose to listen to it, and it's been a wild ride so far.
It has. It's been a lot of fun. And I think also the podcast has gone, to great heights. If you ask me, I feel like we've achieved a lot, and I'm really grateful for all the support that we've gotten from all of you listeners and supporters on Patreon and all that stuff. So yeah.
And I'm sure everyone's gonna support you in whatever other things you find to fill your time. Because I know you'll get a tiny little bit. You had no time to do this, but you'll get a tiny little bit more free time that this may have given you, and you'll fill it with something.
Actually, I can share a little bit about all the stuff that I've already filled into that single hour that I've gotten back into my program. So I have I just recently signed a contract on a online book about the Viking Age that I'm going to be writing. It's a pretty cool concept, actually. It's like an educational platform that creates books like as if they were essentially websites, and then there's a bunch of like interactive stuff as well. So in 2024, I'm gonna, if everything goes right, of course, going to launch that as like an overall what the hell is the Viking Age book. So
nice.
That's going to be interesting.
That's exciting.
I think so.
That's really cool.
Sophie, I think that should be the title. What the hell is the Viking Age?
It's complicated.
It's complicated. Yes, exactly. That's the subtitle.
That's it. It's practically written already. No, that's a lot of fun. Like I say, there's always going to be exciting things. I know you can't sit still. There's always
that's true.
To be done. But yeah, always as well. It's not the end of the podcast. I'm going to carry it on as long as people are happy to keep listening. I'm going to keep doing this. I have a lot of fun. I absolutely love doing this podcast. And even before we decided that you were going to step back, we both decided that we wanted to start taking this back in more of an educational direction, that we felt we'd maybe gone a little too far towards the popular culture guests, and we wanted to really get back to that scholarly kind of perspective and focus. And
I'm honestly really excited to see how that'll play out for you, because I think first of all, I know that you're going to have some cool guests on already, and I also that format, of like you asking the questions that a lot of people are sitting there thinking, well, what about this, what about that, and so on, that scholars don't necessarily think about, right?
Yeah.
And so once you get some cool scholars on, I'm pretty sure that's going to work out just fine, and I'm going to be really excited to see that. Develop.
Hopefully it's going to be like the early days with us, where it was just me and you sat, and I was just like, "What's this? Why do we do that? But what about this over here?" So that's the plan. That's how. So yeah, it's gonna keep going. Like I say, as long as people keep listening and keep wanting, we're gonna keep going with it. And if things change for Mathias, there's always a seat here. He's welcome back whenever things ease up. Maybe when Björn's 18.
I think when he's like 2 years old, I'll just like let him run in the woods and figure stuff out for himself, and then I'll be fine.
Okay, so here's a question for you.
Yeah,
I just had one. I've missed this. Maybe you know this, maybe you don't. What is it with Scandinavian parents when they just leave the baby out in the cold? That's a real thing, isn't it? Like
that's a real thing, yes. It's not just like so. Okay, when we just had Björn, I had a conversation with my with his pediatrician and our doctor who told me it was actually well, I wasn't actually having the conversation. Björn was having the conversation with the pediatrician in the sense that the pediatrician looked down at him and said, "Yes, your daddy can't leave you out in the cold. That's not allowed in America."
Oh, really?
Yes. And that's because we do that in like Denmark, Norway, Sweden. I don't know if the Icelanders do it that much, but some of them probably do. Basically, what we do is that we put the kid to sleep in a pram outside for their naps, especially the midday nap, and the folk lore around it is that it basically gives you a better immune system. I don't know if that's true or not, but yeah, I was raised that way. My other son in Denmark was raised that way, and we don't do it here because we have predators outside of the house.
Well, I mean, that is obviously part of it. You have to be safe with it as well.
Yeah, we have a lot of mountain lions around, bears. Well, they sleep in the winter, but the mountain lions could probably just, yeah. I think a baby would be a nice snack for a mountain lion, so we don't do that.
Yeah, no, I'm sure you would. Yeah, I remember the first time when Alyssa mentioned it to me, I was like, what? Like, because I'd never heard of it before, and obviously it's just not part of like British culture. I was like, that's insane. You can't just leave a baby outside.
You can.
Apparently you can.
So when we lived in Greenland when I was a kid, my mom worked at a daycare, and they would do the same thing up there. They would they would essentially just have like a shed where they would put the kids in the prams inside the shed, and then they would sleep out there. Of course, that would, Greenland is a little harsher in terms of the weather, so they would need to be a little more protected.
They got a little shelter then.
Just a little bit of shelter.
You just think of it like a little tin hut.
Yeah. Something like that.
I mean, it must work. You got some hearty folk over there.
I mean, we survive it. So, and as far as I know, nobody has been lost doing this. So yeah, it works.
It's just one of those fascinating things that you hear, particularly when it's not part of what you do, that sounds so bizarre to me. And then, yeah.
Well, yeah, but we also eat a lot of weird, rotten food. So,
I'm sure there's tons of
stuff.
I'm sure there's tons of stuff that British parents do that Scandinavian parents would be like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, like, most of the stuff that people south of the Danish border feed their kids when they're young, I'm like, why are you doing that? So that's an example.
Fish fingers, chicken nuggets,
candy,
smiley faces.
Yeah, all this stuff.
Turkey dinosaurs. I don't know if you have them. Basically, just any food that's shaped like that's reformed and then shaped like an animal or a smiley face.
Yes.
It doesn't naturally come like that. Okay. So obviously the bulk of the episode, I wanted to try and have some fun, and we'll see how this goes. Because I wanted to look at, we've done, I think this is like episode 143. I think you've maybe missed 3 of them. It's not many. It's a handful. It's a handful at most. So I should, in theory, know a lot of stuff now. I should be well informed on this topic. It's 100 plus hours. I should be an expert. Maybe.
Well, yeah. I mean, you should definitely have a decent amount of knowledge about the Viking Age and Nordic mythology at this point.
You would think so. So I thought we should have like a little, if it's the last one of you was close for a little while. Yeah, Jimmy, either like a quiz me or Matthias been like, this is the stuff you should know by now. Things that you maybe think are very basic, and it's like, you should know this. Or before I, almost a parting of wisdom. Before I leave you, this is what you need to know.
I got some questions for you. Then,
you got some questions? No. You know what? I suggested that to you under the idea that you had no time to make any questions. It'd be really fun if you put a quiz together, but you won't have time for that, Matthias.
Oh, I already have a quiz in my head.
Oh yeah, is it one that you give to the students?
Oh, of course, yes.
Okay. Do I get a little?
Mathias, the glug's ready. Who are you talking to?
Oh, shit! Is the glug done?
Yeah, who are you talking to?
Oh, comes.
Oh,
just showed up.
Is that Daniel?
Look at this guy.
Hey man, I can't hear a word you're saying because he's got the headphones on.
Impromptu visit from Alex. How are you doing?
Hey, good to see you.
You heard it. So it's Alex from Fire in the Mountains has just decided to pop in, looking ravishing as always. How are you doing, brother?
We look like a cute couple, Matthias.
See, we do look like a cute couple.
And he's wore a shirt today as well for us.
Oh yeah.
My shirt.
Flannel.
Yeah, super flannel. Well, I like your jean.
Oh, thank you. He was commenting on it too.
Yeah, no, it looks good.
What are you two up to?
He's making glück in my kitchen.
We're just bringing magic into the world. Yeah, no big deal.
There you go.
How are you doing, man? It's good to see you.
I'm good. I'm very good. It's good to see you too. Yeah, I'm nice and relaxed and rested after Christmas.
Well, that says a lot. That's good. It's a tough time of year.
So how are things with you over your end?
Oh yeah, good. Chaotic and crazy, but also like really expanding, and yeah, it's good. It's the calm before the storm. A good storm. Yeah.
Any Fire in the Mountain news?
Not yet. We won't know until the end of spring, but things are lining up pretty good at this point. Yeah. So 2024, buckle up and get ready.
Coming back
big, better. All the means.
Yeah. All the things and potentially expanding elsewhere too. But
you got some big plans.
Big plans. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Well, get back to the glug. Go on.
Yeah. You guys do your podcast. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt or anything.
You can interrupt anytime. I love you. Take care, man.
I love you too, brother. See ya.
Take it easy.
I kind of want to go like that. Well,
there we go.
Ready when you are.
Yeah. Thank you.
A little impromptu visit there from Alex.
Yeah. Why not?
Let's just have a pie.
He drove down from Wyoming yesterday, so in a blizzard. So,
oh, nice.
I figured it'd be fun to have him just show up for a little second there.
Of course he would. Yeah, definitely. Has he just come to hang out, or you got any plans?
We got big plans. It's 50-50 hanging out and changing the world. So, a little column A and a little column B.
You need a little chill and hangout time with you changing the world.
Just a bit.
No, I'm excited to see what you two are going to do together.
Yeah, we're cooking up some stuff.
Good. Oh, okay. Let's get back to things Dan should know before Matthias leaves.
Okay, I'm going to start with the easy one.
Don't say that. Start with the hardest one.
Okay, I'm going to start with medium hard question.
Okay. Well, I'm sweating. It's just got hot in here, you know.
But you should know this one. And not even from this podcast, just from being English. What is the Anglo-Scandinavian definition of the Viking Age?
Huh? What? What do you mean? As in like the time period.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, 793 to 1066. Lindisfarne to not the Battle of Hastings, the Battle of Stamford Bridge.
Yes, exactly. Which happened in the same year as the Battle of Hastings, but yeah.
It did, yeah, it did.
Yeah. So cool. Very good.
I was quick with that one. Look at that.
Okay. So that was yeah, go on.
I actually checked the Lindisfarne Day like earlier today because it came up on something that I was researching or looking at. So that's why I knew that one. 1066 I know anyway, because it's just a big year in British history.
That's what I was thinking. So yeah. Okay. Now, so that's the Anglo-Scandinavian definition of the Viking Age. What is the Scandinavian definition of the Viking Age?
Ooh. Are there exact dates for this? Or is it just like rough?
That's more broadly sort of like time span from this century to that century kind of definition.
I'm gonna go 13, finished in the 13th century.
That's a little late.
Oh, see, I was thinking 1200s. Okay, finished in the 12th century.
You're just gonna keep guessing until you get to the right
going
century.
Down 12th century. Because if 11th century would be the same as Anglo, so I thought maybe it would be at least a century later.
Yeah. So I mean, when you it depends on how you make the cut, but some would say the middle of the 11th century, and others would say 1100 roughly. I personally favor the roughly 1100 for different reasons. But one of the reasons is that you see, for instance, Danish kings still having ambitions to conquer England in the 1070s, and we also still see Norwegian raids on Scotland in the early 1100s. So saying 1100 as the cutoff, I think is a reasonable time period. It also matches well with what happens in Scandinavia in terms of, the church, for instance, being established as like a dominant institution in society by around 1100. Okay, but when does it begin?
So I was only about 200 years out.
Yeah.
What's 200 years between friends? So that's only 34 years after the Anglo one, which is, for some reason, I just thought it would be longer. Now, I don't think that it started the same kind of time gap. I don't think it was like only 30 years earlier it started. I think that is 100 or a couple of 100 years. I think it started much earlier. So I'm going to say 8th century.
I'd say yeah. Some again say 750, others will say 700, and again it depends on when you make, like how you make the cut. For instance, you can see some of the early trade ports like Ripa in southern Denmark is established around 700, and so that's an indicator that some of the processes and dynamics that create the Viking Age are already in place. I mean, if you go and read Gregory of Tours, he tells us that there was a Danish attack on the Frankish kingdom in the 500s, but and some scholars have been like, that's the first Viking attack, but I don't think that is really the case. But yeah, 700 is usually when we make the cut for the Scandinavian definition of the Viking Age.
So it's not much longer.
No.
I I thought it was probably like 100 years, couple of 100 years either side. So there you go.
Yeah,
Learn something.
I mean that's a reasonable assumption too. I mean, again, it really depends on what you're looking at and how you're looking at it, right? Because the type of boats that become Viking ships were already sort of being developed in the centuries before. Like the lap strake technique is very, very old. For instance, and that's one of the sort of defining features of how you build a Viking ship. That one you can find on, I think, the Nordvig boat, which is like from the 300s. So yeah, that's an old technique. But then you have the introduction of the sail, for instance. For some reason, the Scandinavians don't start using sails until like the 800s. So that's kind of weird.
But don't sails take a ridiculously long time to make? I can't remember. I saw it in a museum somewhere, and I remember it was one of those facts that I remember when they said how long it took to make a sail, I almost had to sit down.
Yeah, so making a sail requires a lot of resources. And yeah, it would also take a lot of time. So, I mean, that could be one of the reasons, so the earliest depictions of sails that we have are from the Gotland picture stones that are from the early 800s. And the earliest archaeological evidence of an actual sail is from the 830s, from the Oseberg ship, if I remember correctly. So, like, that's when we had the first evidence. Obviously, they knew about sails probably sometime before that. But it could simply be that they didn't have the resources to produce the sails. So if anybody did have a sail, it would be something that they'd imported, and it cost a lot of money and so on. So yeah, that might be why we don't see them earlier than the early 800s.
Yeah, sails are big.
They are very big.
They're big things on like a decent sized ship. You need a lot of fabric. Okay, what else should I know? What else do I need to?
Who was the last Viking king, according to legend?
See, I want to say Canute, but I then feel like there's a lot of Harolds out there, so I could just take a stab in the dark and go, it's a Harold.
It's some dude named Harold.
It's probably a Harold. See, because I know the thing is, I know that Canute was defeated at the Battle of Stamford Bridge, so that would be 1066. So that would be the end of like the Anglo Viking Age. So I'm going to have to go with that because that's the best one that I've got.
Right event, wrong guy.
Yeah.
Okay. So the last Viking king does die at Stamford Bridge after he's chopped down, I think it's 300 feeble Anglo-Saxons trying to kill him, and he's just like standing there on the bridge with an axe going chop, 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 chop. And then at some point he dies, of course, because heroic death and all that stuff. But it wasn't Knut.
So is that because I thought the guy on the bridge was just a berserker? Like there's the whole story of like a berserker on the bridge, and they're like killing all the Anglo-Saxons, and then an Anglo-Saxon guy gets in a barrel and sails down under the bridge and sticks him with a spear up through the bridge. Is that a story that you guys have heard?
It's
that's the one we tell ourselves.
It's a legend. It's a legend that it exists out there. Yeah.
Okay, but are you saying that it was the king on the bridge?
King? I think so. Now I'm getting uncertain about it. But again, it's all just tales.
It's anyway. Yeah, absolutely.
But who is it that's defeated at that battle? at Stamford Bridge?
I honestly thought it was Canute. I know this because I
Knut goes
know
earlier. Knut goes earlier. And then this guy shows up because he had made a deal with Knut.
I know there's somebody called Toskvig. But is that Harold Hardrada's Harold Hardrada?
There we go.
That's the one. Oh, I knew that as well.
Yes, you did.
I did know that. I don't know why I went with Canute. Harold Hardrada, obviously. But who was Toksvig? Was he Harold Godwinson's brother or something?
So I think Knut made him Earl of Northumberland, if I remember correctly. And yeah, he was either half brother or cousin or something like that.
On to the next. I'm frustrated by that one though, because I did know that.
Yeah, but it's still, again, as you said, there's like 500,000 Harolds and a bunch of Knuts, and telling them apart is not easy.
Yeah.
So, okay. So next question: when do people start migrating officially to Iceland?
I know this. I can work this out. I can think about it. Okay. So I know that it's to do with another guy called Harold.
Mm-hmm.
Bluetooth. Yeah.
No.
Other Harold.
Some other Harold.
Fine hair. Harold fine hair, obviously.
There
not
we
Bluetooth.
go.
I meant fine hair. Wrong words just came out.
Of course.
Everyone's got fucking Harold. It's hard to tell the difference. Okay. But Harold fine hair was Christianizing. Not Christianizing.
Not Christianizing.
Okay. But Harold Finehair was Harold Finehair was putting Norway together into a single country, or so it's claimed. Now, we did do an episode on that. Maybe he's the first king of Norway, or maybe not. But he was putting together Norway, and some people didn't like that. So they then migrated to Iceland and started a new colony on Iceland in the year 850-ish?
A little too early there.
63?
A little too early there.
Okay.
Try a new decade.
Okay. 893.
God damn it. 870.
Fuck's sake.
You could have just gone to the next.
One more. Okay. But I think I showed some knowledge in my working out. It's like in your maths quiz where they said show working out and you may get points for it.
Sure. Yeah. There are some points in there. Okay. So that's sort of like the official legendary history of the settlement of Iceland, right? It is written by Ari Thorkelsson. He says in 870. Now, there is an archaeological find that has used tephrochronology, so dating based on volcanic ash, that has authenticated the dates. Where can you find, or where can you go see that find?
Oh, I didn't even know about this.
You didn't?
No. So have we spoken about this on the podcast?
We have. I have mentioned this before.
Okay. Where can we see it? As in,
so what location can you go to see this?
Is it in Norway or Iceland?
I'm not helping you.
Bergen.
No.
Okay. This one I'm stumped on. This one
It's of course in Reykjavik.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a house that has been excavated, and I think it used to be in the basement of a bank, if I remember correctly, just in downtown Reykjavik, and it's by analyzing a layer of volcanic ash that has deposited on top of it. They have been able to accurately date it to 871 plus minus 1 year, or 72 plus minus 1 year. Okay. So that is an archaeological find that at least has confirmed Ari Thorkelson's original date. Now, later on, they found something else on the eastern parts of Iceland that actually sent the date of the earliest settlements in Iceland back by 70 years to the early 800s. That's the Stölvafjörður find. So a farm settlement. So yeah. History is getting more complicated.
As it always seems to do. I think all this quiz is doing is highlighting why this podcast has to go on for another 140 episodes. So I might actually learn things.
I feel like it's complicated.
Yeah, I have a good. I feel like I have like a base knowledge, but some stuff's just obviously gone straight through.
That's how it is with things.
Yeah. What's next?
Okay, what's next? Well, when did Snorri Sturluson write Edda?
Okay, so I remember when we did the Edible Edda episode, this all fucking blew my mind. Because Snorri wrote the prose Edda before the discovery of the poetic Edda. And I thought, even though the poetic Edda is deemed to be older than the prose Edda.
Yes.
Right? That's right.
Yes.
But the poetic Edda was written after the prose Edda. Is that wrong? Or was it just that it was found?
Yeah, so the manuscript that contains the bulk of Eddic poetry is younger.
The Codex Regius, right?
Exactly, yes. Codex Regius. That one is younger than Snorri's Edda. So the Codex Regius was written in 1270, roughly. That's when it's dated to. So Snorri wrote before that.
Mm-hmm. Snorri, he wrote in the 1100s. I know that, right? Maybe was it like 12? I know it's not. I know it's not before that. Is it? Because it was like I know it's like at least like a couple of 100 years after the end of the Viking Age. Because it's like it's a long enough time period that I remember being like, okay, how accurate can this really be? Because when we're talking about history, we talk about like 200 years, like that. When if you think about what happened 200 years ago from today, it's a fucking lot of stuff.
It is a lot of stuff. Okay, so the thing about Snorri, right, is that he writes Edda, probably, right after he has visited Norway. So he goes to Norway at some point. Then he spends about a year and a half in Norway, and then he goes back to Iceland. Then he sits down and writes Edda.
1280.
And 80?
80.
18?
80.
80. So that's
80.
but that would put it after the Codex Regius.
1230.
Getting closer.
1220. Final answer.
Boom. There we go. Yes. Very good.
I knew all along I was just teasing, keep
Of
it.
course.
Just
Of
this whole
course.
thing, keep it going, make it entertaining.
Yes.
Oh, Dan's such an idiot.
So we know that he goes to Norway in 1218. And then he spends.
Was it actually 1218?
Well, that's when he goes to Norway. And then he comes back to Iceland, and so the agreed upon date for him writing Edda is 1220, because we know that he composes parts of the poem Hautatal, which is actually the biggest part of Edda that nobody ever reads because it's incredibly long and boring. He composes that as a eulogy to the Norwegian king and the Earl Skuli. And then he goes back and then he writes it down and expands it with different poetic forms. And then he is like, hey, I should write an instruction on how to do all of this. And then he continues with the rest of the book and then starts giving us all the myths and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was probably finished in 1220.
Oh, it took me 3 guesses.
There you go.
Ish, yeah. Roughly 3-ish. Maybe it was more. Okay, I feel like I'm really learning here.
You're supposed to demonstrate what you have learned, man.
I know. I know, but I feel like I've got the working out, but it's dates. I'm terrible with dates.
Yeah. That's what it is.
To be fair, I've always struggled with that. When I did medieval history at college, and I just remember I just hated having to remember dates. I just couldn't do it.
I know. I agree. I actually oddly have the same problem. Dates are really annoying. Okay. New question. What is the largest runic carving depicting, and where is it?
The largest runic.
Mm-hmm. So there is a 4-meter long runic carving located somewhere in Scandinavia that depicts something very specific, and it's a very famous story. What is that story?
Oh, give me some easy ones. Okay, I'm gonna guess that it's in Sweden, just as a guess, just because I know that. Is it like 90% of runic carvings are in Sweden?
Not 90%, but I think it's around 2/3. So yeah, most runic carvings are found in what is now Sweden. Yes.
Okay. So it's in Sweden.
Mm-hmm.
I know that.
That is true.
Do you need the exact place? Or is a country good enough?
It would be great if you could name the name of the location, but it's okay if you can't.
I don't think I can.
The carving itself is named after the location, so
I only know of Tannum.
Okay.
So unless it's there, and it's not because I've been there, then I'm gonna struggle.
And that's also in Norway, right?
No, Tannum, Sweden.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sweden. I drove over the border.
Right. That's the Bohuslän area. That area has shifted hands so many times.
Oh yeah, it is close. I would say I couldn't believe how close to the border it actually was. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me that it shifted.
So what does it depict?
A story.
Yes. About what?
Okay. I don't know the answer. So I don't just know it. So I'm going to have to try and deduct and guess. It's a saga. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. No.
Yeah. Kind of. I mean, it also
okay.
exists as a saga.
It's going to be a story of a king or a king's conquests. Must be. That's going to be my guess. Is that it's I don't know the king, but it's going to be a king's conquest or something along those lines, because that's usually why you're going to create such a massive stone. I feel like it wouldn't. For what other reason would it be? Go on. Put me out my misery.
It's the story about Sigurd the Dragon Slayer.
Fuck's sake. No, because this is the frustrating thing, is that everybody listening to this is gonna be like, oh, bullshit. Is that my original thought was to go like Saga of the Volsungs, Sigurd, and I was like, that's too obvious. Don't go with the obvious one that's what your brain is gonna. That's the one that I'm gonna go to. So don't go with that. And so that's genuine. Whether you believe me or not, I don't care. I do care.
Yeah, no, it's called Ramsun. The carving, right? It's a 4-meter long carving. I think like a meter and a half in height on like this rock surface. So it's not an erected stone like most of the rune stones. This is basically like a cliffside. And
is it possible that it could have been erected and it's fallen?
No.
Is it definitely not?
It's like a rock face that's like inside a sort of like a hill, or
okay.
And it was probably carved around the year 1000. The interesting thing is that the inscription in it clearly indicates that the person who did it was Christian. It was in connection to her, by the way, building a bridge as well. And that depicts several scenes that can be directly related to the Volsunga saga, and also the heroic Eddic poems about Sigurd the Dragon Slayer. So yeah. And of course, we also have Norwegian stave churches with carvings of some of these same images.
Yeah, it seems like a hugely popular, but it's much older than the Viking Age, isn't it? Doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Aren't there different examples of it kind of throughout all different cultures?
Well, the theory is that parts of the story are actually created in the 500s in the Rhineland, sort of Western Bavaria, Schwabia area, where some historical events took place that then inspired parts of the story. Mm-hmm. And so it's connected, for instance, to the migrations of the Franks. So and then it becomes some kind of legend that becomes so popular that it's constantly circulating in Northern Europe and becomes a very, very important story in the Viking Age as well. And also in the medieval period, because it's being written down in the 1200s in Iceland. So they must have thought it was quite important. And then also you have it in Faroese and Danish ballads later on in the late medieval period and early modern period. So yeah.
And even more modern, the most modern telling of it is on the Nordic Mythology podcast Patreon, where me, you, and Jonas read through. I say we read through. Jonas reads Saga of the Volsungs to us whilst we have a jolly old time laughing and enjoying his performance.
Yes, and he does some really good readings, very good voices. So
the one that stands out is when he's doing the voices for the crows in the tree. Yes. And he has about 3 voices, but then there's just more crows that keeps coming. And he has to keep just inventing voices as he goes along. Yeah. If you do want to listen to those, you can get them on the Patreon. Just Nordic Mythology Podcast on Patreon. It's like buying me and Mathias a cup of coffee once a month.
Yeah. Okay. Next question.
Okay.
So a certain emissary from the Caliphate in Baghdad happened upon some Vikings.
Ibn Fadlan.
Yes, that's his name. He happened upon some Vikings.
Oh, that's another question.
On the banks of the Volga River in what was at the time the kingdom of the Bulgar. And when did that happen?
Oh, gee, why don't give me time? Don't give me dates. Jimmy just had a good one in the chat. He said that you should pop up your guest appearances should be quizzing me on topics I've discussed with guests before.
Just like popping in once in a while in the middle of it.
Like, have you done your homework? Oh, okay. So I hate what dates? Don't give me dates. He is the Rus.
Yes.
So the Rus, I know that. Which doesn't really help me out much. Which I feel is towards the back end of the Viking Age. Ish. 900 and I'm going early 900s. 20, 30, around that time.
Can you get more specific?
927.
Ah, very close. It's 921 to 22.
I'm not far off.
No, that's a good job. That's a good job. Yeah. So, okay. Well, since we are already in that general area, where do the Rus probably come from?
Okay. I feel like the obvious one would be like Russia or like Western Russia. But I don't know the answer exactly. So I'm going to say it is like Eastern Europe, like the Ukrainian, Estonian, Western Russia area.
So somewhere in Eastern Europe.
Well, I'll be honest. I didn't know that there was an exact place. I know that they traded with Eastern Sweden, and is that where we get all the silver on Gotland? Is it Gotland?
I mean, there's
the big silver pile on there.
Yeah. So you're definitely weaving by now. So
I'm throwing whatever knowledge I have out there, hoping something is good enough.
So the answer to where do the Rus come from is probably Sweden, right? So
okay. Oh, yeah, I'm with you now.
Yes,
I feel like that's a trick question.
Is it? No. So the most commonly accepted theory on the origin of the name Rus is that it comes from a certain location in Uppland in Sweden called Roslagen, and this is among other things also based on the Finnish word for Sweden, Ruotsi, and so the assumption is here that etymologically the name Rus has come from these migrating Vikings from Sweden, who were, by the way, initially invited to come settle in what is now Western Russia.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
I learned about that in River Kings by Kat Jarman.
There you go.
I did learn about that because I do like that book, and it's kind of all about the eastern side of the Vikings. Okay, let's do one more, and then we'll wrap up the main episode, and then we'll jump over onto our Patreon exclusive episode where the people watching are going to get to quiz you and ask you questions for a little bit.
Okay, so last question here. Who was it who placed a big runestone in Denmark where he boasted that he had converted the Danes to Christianity and also conquered Norway.
Oh, but you gave me an easy one to finish on. I'm going to start until I get it wrong now. Okay. Harold Bluetooth?
Very good.
Yeah,
yes.
Whew. And that one I feel like I should have known. I would have been embarrassed if I didn't know that one. There we
Okay.
go.
Another one. Just one more.
Okay.
What was the name of the Viking who graffitied the Hagia Sophia church, which is now a mosque in Istanbul?
Oh, I didn't know that they knew his name, but this is fascinating because I do find it fascinating that there is graffiti in a mosque in Istanbul. It just shows that people don't change. But yeah, I don't know his name.
His name was Halfdan.
Oh, okay. I should have probably figured that out just from the fact that you got that question from the Harold Bluetooth one. And oh no, okay. Halfdan was Howard Finehair's.
No.
That was it?
We don't know who. I don't think we have a good I sort of like broader identity to this person, but
oh, okay. Because I know in the Vikings TV show they were brothers, and I know that's not accurate.
Right. Yeah. Oh, right. Is that, have they like taken Halfdan the Black and then turned him into Harold's brother in the Vikings?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's exactly what they did. They had Halfdan the Black and then made him Harold Finehair's brother, which I knew wasn't true, but I didn't really know much more than that.
Right. Yeah. No, this was just some random Halfdan. So.
Oh, okay. So had no link.
No, not as such.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Yeah, let's wrap this up. It's been a lot of fun as always. Like we say, it's not the end of you jumping on the podcast. You know, you're gonna appear now and then when we can find time.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, on behalf of everybody, I think that listens to this, I want to say thank you for your time over the last 140 odd episodes. I'm sure everybody appreciates it. I've learned so much from you and your mega mind of a head. Yeah, and I will always have a lot of love for you.
Likewise, brother. Likewise.
You are. We're friends for life. Because that was the frustrating thing for me when you said that you were stepping back. The first thing that someone had posted was like, "Oh, they must have fallen out," and it's like, no,
right? Yeah.
Don't be that guy.
Yeah. No, I got a couple of questions like that too. It's like, oh, I hope it was an amicable breakup and that kind of stuff. And I was like, well, no, it's just a matter of like timing and scheduling and all those stupid little details.
Yeah.
We haven't fallen out or anything.
Yeah, people just jump to that. It's like, oh, they met in Midgardsplan and they hate each other now.
They hated each other.
Oh, and we very much like each other. We would love to. Current, life gets in the way, and it's certainly not the end of things.
Absolutely not. So, and I will definitely be back. So don't worry.
You will. So yeah. Like I say, I appreciate you the time. I appreciate everything you've done and teaching me. Like I say, I've learned so much. I've had a lot of fun. We've had a lot of laughs, and it'll carry on. And you'll be back. And yeah. So
yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate all the work that you've done too to keep this podcast floating for so long. Yeah. Don't discount that. You've done a lot of hard work to.
It's always worth it.
Yeah,
it's definitely worth it. So one last time, Mathias, let everyone know where they can find you.
Well, you can always find me on Instagram. Well, not always. I don't spend all my time on Instagram, but you can find my account on Instagram, and that is also where I will be announcing things about projects and stuff that I'm doing that might be of interest to some of you. If you want to learn more about Nordic mythology, the Viking Age, or some stuff that has to do with like magic and hoodoo and runes and Scandinavia, then pop over there and check that out. And you can also always check out my website, which is just my name, MathiasNordvig.com, where you can also see stuff that I do and things that I'm working on and so on. So yeah.
Do you remember that time I told everyone to start adding you on Facebook? And then you deleted Facebook like 2 weeks later. I was like, oh.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
And the only reason I would ever come back to Facebook is if I have to like mess around with my Spotify that's still tied to that thing. So
that's the nightmare, is that everything starts to tie into them and you just can't get rid of it.
Yes. Yeah. Ugh.
Okay. So yeah, if you enjoy the show, please leave us a 5-star rating, a positive review. You can follow us on Nordic Mythology Podcast on the Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Hit the subscribe and the little bell icon so you get a notification every time we drop a video. And yeah, so we on the Patreon, we're doing a Q&A episode with every guest. So you're getting a bonus episode every time you get a main episode. You get a bonus episode on the Patreon where it's a Q&A. You get to submit your question beforehand or in real time if you're in the chat watching, and we get to just have an extra little hangout and go a little bit. They get a little bit looser, a little bit deeper, and we just have a nice little extra chat on there. So if you do want to watch them, you can watch all the back catalog on Patreon as well. Yeah, let's get out of here. Mathias, thank you very much. And
thank
obviously,
you.
like I say, I'll see you again in probably like 2 weeks.
Yeah, see you guys again at some point.
It's like you're dying and then they'll be like in 2 weeks. It's like, oh, Mathias is on. Thank you, man. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.